Hi, I'm Ashley Hagauer, and I just finished my first year of vet school. All the vet students, they wear name tags, and to indicate my year, which is I'm going to graduate in the class of 2015, I wear a blue name tag. We have many different colored name tags for each year because there's 4 classes at the vet school at once. We have blue, maroon, silver, and white, so they each indicate who's in what class. So that's really helpful so that when you're talking to someone, you kind of know what level they are versus what level you are. And you know who's in your class even if you don't recognize them. I became interested in veterinary medicine when I was really young. But a lot of my classmates were the same way. When I was about 4 or 5, I found a kitten. And from there, my interest was just sparked. Her name was Figaro, and I just thought she was the greatest thing ever. And I loved to go with my parents to take her to get vaccinated. And I got to learn a lot of stuff about, checking kittens' eyes and ears for certain things, and since then my interest has been sparked, and it's been an amazing journey to where I am now. The career path that I'm on is a lot different from other people who meet who want to be veterinarians. Unlike most people who want to go into private practice, and what that means is they work with, the cats and the dogs, and they're the ones who you take your animals into. I kind of want to do something. I want to do something different. I want to work in public health, which is the intersection between animal health and human health. So my goal is not only to make your animals feel better, but also through making your animals feel better, make you feel better. And what that means is I would be in charge of, when you take your animals to be vaccinated for rabies, I would be the person who says, well, the reason we need to vaccinate for rabies is because you could potentially get sick. And so that's where I see my interest of veterinary medicine playing in. What I'd like to do when I graduate from vet school is work for the government, and I'd be the person who, when there's an outbreak of something that could potentially make you sick that you could get from your animals, I'd be the person to go in and investigate it. So I'd be the person who's doing the problem solving, figuring out, okay, we're seeing this, and what could be causing it? Could it be that you haven't been cleaning your cat's litter box and that the cat has brought something in, or could it be that the meat that we've been eating is contaminated, and how can we fix that? So I want to be a problem solver, and I want to fix not only diseases in animals again, but also in people. In high school is when I really started, preparing for my career in veterinary medicine. I did a lot of volunteering in high school, which I really recommend for high school students. I was really lucky because I volunteered at the zoo when I was in high school, and that was a great opportunity because I learned a lot about taking care of exotic animals and what the purpose of the zoo was, like how a zoo is important for animal conservation and why we want to keep animals out in the wild, and what it means to bring them into the wild for people to see. And so I thought that was an amazing opportunity. I also worked at the animal shelter when I was in high school, and so I got to learn about what the animal shelter's role is in taking care of animals, and I got to see, a lot of happy endings where people came and they adopted puppies and kittens and cats and dogs, and, how they came to that decision, and it was just really exciting, and I learned a lot from working at the animal shelter. You got to do a little bit of hard work when you're in high school. You got to start in the kennels and work your way up, and so I did that too. I cleaned lots of kennels and lots of other animal spaces and litter boxes, and that's okay. That's a great way to get started so you understand what you're working towards in your goals. I also was involved in the Explorer Post, which you can do a veterinary Explorer Post, and what that did, it was really helpful, is it helped me expand my understanding of veterinary medicine. Through the Explorers, I got to learn about how equine medicine worked, which is horses, and I got to learn about the spay and neuter clinics and what it means to do low-cost spay and neuters, and I also got to learn about working in the military as a veterinarian, and working with like the bomb-sniffing dogs and the dogs that go and rescue people. That was really cool, and so there's so many opportunities even in high school to learn about veterinary medicine. Vet school has been a lot of fun, but it's also been a lot of work. So you get to vet school and you are super duper excited to be here. And the professors, they hand you a bunch of textbooks and they say, okay, we're going to learn a lot. So every day you come in and you have to be focused and you have to know what you got to do for the day, and you have classes all day long. It's kind of like being in high school again. In college, you don't have to be in class from 8 to 5, but in vet school you do, which is a lot of time, but it's a lot of fun, and you do lots of labs your first year. You get to work in the anatomy lab with the cadavers, and you get to look at microscope slides, and that's really cool to learn about all the different blood smears and all the tissue types. And so it's really interesting for your first year. I've learned so much that I didn't even know that veterinary medicine related to, and it's been amazing, and I've really enjoyed it. Going to vet school is a lot different from high school or undergrad because you have to time manage. It's the number one thing that you have to do in vet school. You have to set a schedule. You have to follow it, and you have to choose things over others. Like, you may want to work out every day, but you may only get to work out every other day because you have to study, because you have a quiz the next day, and so you kind of have to make those decisions. You may want to sleep in on the weekends, but you have to get up maybe an hour earlier to start studying just because you have a test on Monday. So there's a lot of sacrifice, but there's a lot to gain from it. You get a lot of experience. That's a big thing, is the vet school does a great job giving you experience. On the weekends, a lot of the clubs do wet labs, and it is so cool because you get to go in and you get to work with live animals, which you don't necessarily get to do during the week when you're actually studying from textbooks or from your cadavers, but you get to go out and you get to learn hands-on experience, which is really important for veterinary medicine when you get to your fourth year. Getting to vet school is great because you're really competitive in undergrad, making sure that you make the grades. But when you get to vet school, everybody's working together. Everyone in your class wants to help each other, and they want to make sure that we all make it. It's not all for one. It's one. Well, I guess that doesn't make sense. But anyway, everybody works together. You can't make it through vet school without having your friends and your colleagues for support, and that's what we are. We're colleagues, and in the field of veterinary medicine, starting in school and all the way through the field of veterinary medicine, you work together. If you can't solve something, you can call your colleague, you can call your friend down the street, you can call anyone who's in the community and say, I need help. And the first thing they're going to say is, of course, what can we do? And so that's amazing. I love that, it's not competitive in the sense that, someone wants to do better than you. It's competitive in the sense that we all want to do well, and we all want to make it, and we all recognize that this is our dream, and we're sharing our dream together. And it's also really nice because it's not only in your class, it's the upperclassmen too. The vet school does a good job of finding mentors and, doing mingling with other classes or other classes of students so that, the second and third years can tell the first years, okay, I remember that test, and I know it seems really hard now, but you can make it through. And just remember, don't forget the main points that the teacher said in class, and don't forget that you can do it. It seems hard now, but you've got the energy. And so it's really great that the veterinary community is so willing to work together, students and faculty and colleagues.